Hey everybody, Joe Joseph here for thedailysheeple.com, and this is your new shot. I'm going to Vox.com. This is something I've been talking about for quite some time. I'm glad to see that it's getting a little mainstream media exposure because it's a very important topic. American kids are 70% more likely to die before adulthood than kids in other rich countries. That's right. I've often spoke of the extremely high infant mortality rate that we have here in the U.S., but a new study ranking 20 wealthy countries on childhood deaths. And guess what? The U.S. comes in last. So all of you people out there that talk about the United States being this bastion of freedom and democracy, the leader of the free world, yada, yada, yada. No. We are just absolutely being sold a bill of goods. And it says here, a child born in the United States has a 70% greater chance of dying before adulthood than kids born in other wealthy democratic countries. The research published in the Journal of Health Affairs on Monday shows that the United States lags far behind peer countries on child health outcomes. It's estimated that since 1961, America's poorest account for more than 600,000 excess child deaths that wouldn't have happened if these kids were born in other wealthy countries. Quote, in all the wealthy democratic countries we study, children are dying less often than they were 50 years ago. But it says we found that children are dying more often in the United States than in any similar country. Now, the study comes out 3 months after Congress allowed funding for the Children's Health Insurance Program, or CHIP, which provides insurance to 9 million low-income kids, and that's set to expire. And it builds on data released earlier this year, which finds that overall life expectancy in the United States has declined for the past 2 years, a troubling trend that hasn't been seen since the 1960s. Now, infants in the U.S. have a 76% higher risk of deaths than in other wealthy nations. Just listen to that. 76% more likely to die here in the United States than in 20 other of the wealthy nations in the world. Why do you think that is? I'm going to tell you why that is. A big part of that is vaccines. No doubt, hands down. I don't care what you say. I don't care how you say it. I don't care how you cut it. I'm telling you right now that one of the major contributors to infant mortality here in this country is quite simply vaccines. And shame on our non-representing representatives and the bureaucrats in Washington that have not done their due diligence in researching this because they fall prey to the special interest groups like Big Pharma and others that just quietly pay them off and give them cush jobs and let them ride the wave to retirement, a comfy, cozy retirement, by poisoning millions upon millions of people, and they don't even realize it's happening. SIDS is a great example of a vaccine-related death. Sudden infant death syndrome. They attributed it to children's mattresses. No. It has nothing to do with children's mattresses. More and more research is showing that SIDS is an effect of vaccinations. Too many vaccinations too early. The United States has by far and away the most aggressive vaccination schedule in the world. And why? Because it's a cash cow. It has nothing to do with your health. If that were the case, what was wrong with the schedule before? When I grew up, and maybe I think there was like a total of 18 vaccines by the time you're 18 years old. Now there's like 76 or something. I don't even know. It's so outrageous. And then, of course, you have the poverty in this country. Poverty is a huge problem that's never gone away, and people just ignore. And they chalk it up to, well, those people just aren't responsible, and therefore, they get what they deserve. I got news for you. In other countries, poverty doesn't exist the way it exists here. As far as the 20 countries that are being compared to in this study. You know, when you start talking about countries like Canada, Australia, France, Sweden, and the UK, that's not to say I agree with socialism. I don't. Because I believe that socialism and communism on a macro scale just doesn't work. Because that requires an incredible amount of accountability that just doesn't exist. Now, on a micro scale, that's different. Instead of communism, people call it communes. But it's the same concept. Only you don't have oligarchs that rule over the rest of the people. Now, on a micro scale, it works. Macro, it doesn't. But one thing's for sure. The United States is facing an incredible health crisis. An engineered incredible health crisis. And it's going to become more and more of a crisis with each passing year, especially now that they've rolled back Obamacare, which, of course, gives the insurance companies more license to charge you more money for less services, until eventually the government will have to step in, watch, they will, with their Medicare for All Act, which will have unbelievable support because people will be forced into it. It's coming. And when that day comes, some are going to agree with it, some are not. But we will be forced to accept far less services and less of an ability to be treated for common ailments than we have ever in the past, not for some time. I mean, healthcare in this country has gone down the tubes, down the toilet. Doctors don't treat or fix problems, they treat symptoms now. Curriculums are written by Big Pharma. It's no surprise that all this is happening. So, folks, get educated and protect your children. Protect your children because guess what? In America, they're not as safe as you think they are. I'm Joe Joseph. This was thedailysheeple.com's News Shot. Feel free to comment below and visit our website at thedailysheeple.com. Hashtag wake the flock up. Have a great day, everybody.